I have grown up in the church pretty much my whole life. So faith has always been a big part of my life, but I would say I was around the age of probably 11 to 13 when I finally made my relationship with God my own and committed my life to Him.
One of the main things that God kind of used to strengthen me was actually when my mom passed away when I was 12 years old. Just seeing her cling to the Bible, cling to God, and how the church came around us really helped.
About a month before my 10th birthday, my mom passed away. She had committed suicide, and so I was mad and I was angry. I believed there was a God, but I didn't understand how God could have allowed that to happen to me and to my family.
There was times that I stepped into the world and stepped back. I had some fellowship with the church, but I didn't have a connection. I was molested from the time I was around 7 till I was around 16. I had always questioned why. Why me? Why?
And I had stopped going to church with my dad, and I got invited to a youth group, and I started going. They started saying all these stories from the Bible that I had heard before, and so I pulled out a Bible and I started reading it, and that fall we went to the cemetery where my mom is buried, and on her tombstone it says, "In God's loving care." And I knew in that moment that God loved me. My life changed and I started following God, and my relationship with my dad was repaired.
And at one point in time, I believe God told me that I am going to use what I went through to help other women. I searched for churches online. I wanted to know what their doctrine was, what they believed.
I found these two guys. I watched a couple of their sermons together and said, I need to check that out.
The very next day, Angel did the first lesson on their book. Everything that she was saying, that was me.
Pretty quickly, I knew it was my home and felt connected like never before.
And when I attended my first church service here at New Life Bible Fellowship and they presented together, I said, that's it, I'm here.
That following Sunday, I started coming to the church, and I just feel like I'm home here, like this is a community.
Then I was asked to be the children's intern with Miss Kim, and that got me really connected within the congregation and let me really just use my heart and gifts.
Loved going through next steps and unwrapped what the gifts God has given me and where I can best be used in the church for those gifts.
What he's been showing me is I cannot be a casual spectator. I must participate. If I'm going to experience the fruits of involvement, then I have to be really involved.
Summer camp last year, there was a moment where we were all just singing. God just put a song on my heart and I began to sing, and then the whole SM started singing, and it was just a beautiful opportunity to step into the leadership He's given me, but also just welcome others into His presence.
I was volunteering with the youth ministry at the church I was attending. I saw a flyer that wasn't even addressed to me for the National Youth Workers Convention, and I decided to go. While I was there, I felt like God called me to go to full-time youth ministry, and I told God no, which maybe I wouldn't recommend. But a year later, I decided to go to the convention again because it was so good, and I was frustrated for a while because every job that I looked at, I wasn't qualified for. It had already been filled. And then God opened all the doors for me to do youth ministry over in Germany with the military.
So when I was in Germany, it kind of felt like God put on my heart even before then, like, hey, you should start hanging out and helping with the youth ministry. So I started doing that and started hearing about Sally. It's like, oh, she sounds pretty cool and pretty attractive in that respect. So she came, we met, and just started getting to know her as a friend. And I realized I kind of liked her and I was interested in a relationship, but God made it very clear not to start anything. When I moved away, I actually moved to California, but I promised the kids that I would actually come back, help out in the summer camp. Between the time I left and when I came back, God's been kind of putting on my heart like, hey, Sally. At that point, it's like, okay, obviously I should start looking into actually a relationship with her. I talked to her, I think, the second day or so, and like, hey, I'm interested in being more than friends. Finally got to meet each other's parents and all that, and God at that point definitely made it clear, like, hey, you should marry her. I thought He was closing the door and saying no, but it was actually just a wait.